Hello, hello, hello. Happy Monday. I am so happy to be with you here again. Normally, I am in sunny Los Angeles, but today I am coming from you live from Columbus, Ohio. And my name is Monica Henderson, and I am the tour guide for you today on this lovely topic. Let's get this party started, shall we? We have an action packed group today, and we are just going to really experience some great conversation. I'm excited for you to meet our guest and get into the topic. So let's talk about this. You are here at MinkLife Motivation Live. And with that, I would love to let you know that here at MinkLife Motivation Live, we help you with your personal business, brand, and network development. And we do that each week by helping you get inspired, get motivated, stay inspired, keep networking, and gain knowledge so that you can live a life that's designed by you, for you, healthier, wealthier, and fulfilled. With that, I would love to help you understand the question of why is understanding cash flow and scalability vital to your market blueprint? We have three lovely people who are going to accommodate me with this as we maximize your business. And determining your market blueprint is our overarching title. So, with that, let's get motivated with our motivators. And as my lovely co host, she is the Wellness Thrive Strategist with Wellbeing and Worth. She is also a Mink Life Motivation Master Trainer and the Dean of Mink Life University. My co host, Andrea Gores. Andrea, how are you doing today, lovely?
Great. How's everybody else? It's good to be
We're
here.
you're looking fantastic and I love the haircut.
Yeah, thank you.
So next we have our other co-host, and she is the owner and photographer at Headshots by Peggy. She's a blogger and a dynamic speaker at the next global virtual conference. Our co-host Peggy Warny. Hey Peggy.
Hey, good to be here. How's everybody this morning?
Doing pretty fantastic. Although it's the afternoon for me already, so. And last but not least, we have a special guest with us today. He's the founder of Downset Lead. He's a podcast host. It's called Bosses and Brews, and he's a dynamic speaker with the next global virtual conference. It is my honor to have our guest today, Rob Bourn. Rob, welcome to
Hey,
the
how's it
show.
going, Monica? Hello, ladies.
Hey, Rod. Welcome.
Thank you.
So, just so you know, we are always happy when there is a fantastic male who is here with us to share in these conversations, because it takes a really strong man to be in a room full of really strong women on International Women's Day. So I just wanted to say thank you for supporting us and showing what it's like to work with awesome women on International Women's
Ab-
Day.
Absolutely. I've been training all year for this, just to keep up with y'all.
All right. So I wanted to take a second and really kind of craft the understanding about market blueprint because a lot of business owners may not really understand what that is. And how we talk about it at Mink Life Motivation is your market blueprint is kind of the blueprint of where you stand in the market, right? Like where your market position is, where your value is, and who you are talking to in particular, and really kind of understanding all of those things and how they play together in order for you to actually create a profitable business. Now, I know that Rod is really kind of about this topic, and helping people kind of identify like where they really need to be in order to get those downset leads to turn into actual business. Rod, did you want to share a little bit about market blueprint and what that means?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it really is about knowing yourself and it's being authentic. It really is, and it's a journey, and it's a thing that if you're stumbling as you're doing it, that's perfectly fine. It's perfectly normal. It's very rare that a person who is an entrepreneur goes right out of the gate and they're moving at 60 miles an hour. immediately. It really is discovering who you are, being true to yourself, and delivering awesome things because you're being true to yourself, because to the people that want to work with you.
Absolutely. Andrea, did you want to chime in on what Rod was saying?
I love that definition. Actually, that like really helped crystallize it for me as the not accidental entrepreneur, kind of like I'm just gonna be an entrepreneur and jumped right into it, and then I'll learn the bits as I go along. That would be me. So the way you just said that is how I guess I, from a feeling sense, went about doing my business. But it's really I can I would need a professional counsel for when I would really want to scale. And so I know in doing the program and doing the business maximizer, when this section came up for us, me and like Monica was teaching this, and I was like, wow, every entrepreneur needs to know this at the beginning, and to your point, grow into what that means. Like that permission you just gave relaxed me, relaxed me immensely.
Good, good.
Because I, no, seriously, I sometimes get, you read business books, Business Made Simple, Donald Miller. There are all these titles out there that you can really get yourself wound up if you're like me. And can you imagine I get wound up? Just, you just said. And
I'm
so
getting that vibe. Get that
and
vibe.
so I like Monica's like, take it in, Andrea, take it in. And I really get swirly with it. So I just really appreciate that simplicity. Like, can we we need to make one of those little push things and have Rod's voice. Rod says, "Ding." No, thank you. That was huge. Even now for me, as I think about scaling to the next step. So
Oh,
I thank you
yeah.
because been on my mind actually. So this is very apt.
Yeah, the beautiful part about this show is although we are experts of sorts, we're not experts in everything. So one of the reasons why we love doing the show every Monday is because it's an opportunity for us to learn from other people as well. And so and we do it transparently and out loud every single week. We're like, oh, okay, wait, let me
Hold
take
on,
a
let me
note.
write that down.
I need to write that down. So it's one of those things that I think Peggy's like always have my notes on hand, right? So Peggy, did you want to add to what Andrea's saying, or did you want to kind of comment on what Rod was saying?
Well, I'm probably just going to come out of left field and say my own thing. I know for me personally, I started my business. I started my own business in 1992, and I had no business knowledge. I had no business skills. I had no foundation. And so basically, I ran my business like a hobby. And I didn't know that for a decade or so. And somebody pointed it out to me. They're like, well, it looks to me like photography is just your hobby. And I got all offended. I was like, no, it's not. This is what I do. Oh, really? Like, you don't even have a solid price list somewhere. Like, come on, lady, you don't know anything about business. And that really, I think a lot of entrepreneurs have this idea that all I have to do is be good at what I do. And I've seen over the years horrible, we'll just use my profession as an example, horrible photographers that take horrible pictures that have no clue how to use a camera, and they charge twice what I was charging. Why? Because they understood the business side, not the technical side. So you really have to, and if you don't understand it, then you need to learn it. You need to invite those people into your life and, get that set up, because it wasn't until I turned it around and made it a business that I actually started profiting and not just barely making it by.
Oh yeah. What's funny is, so this section, when I was creating the Business Maximizer, it was a section that was hard for me to title. Originally, it was called Market Share, right? And some big time business people were like, well, if you're a small business, you don't have market share. And I was like, well, what? That's kind of crazy. But I listened to it for a second because I was like, if you are a small business person, you can't even conceptualize how much of the market you're going to get. You just need to figure out how the heck you're going to get in the market in the first place. So that was one of the reasons why I changed it from market share to market analysis, which was less sexy, to market blueprint, which ended up being kind of the sweet spot, because it really is so incredibly important to understand is your business scalable, right? Like, and scalable doesn't mean I'm going to go to one to many. It means, can I do this on a, over and over and over again, right? And is there a way that I can automate it so that I can do more with my leveraging my time and resources to do more of the same, right? So when I had a custom clothing business, it was really difficult to scale that, right? Because each item was unique, as far as duplicating the same dress over and over again. But I could create 5 or 6 patterns that were our unique proprietary patterns, and use those in unique ways for each person to create a custom experience. And so then that was like, oh, that is how we scale this, because it's not a matter of me going from making one dress that's beautiful to making 18 of that same dress and selling it on the market, but it's about how can I actually grow the business with doing less work. So I don't know if that helps people understand market. The scalability is not just about doing more people in that way, but how you can leverage yourself to get more things done in the same amount of time, which is why I'm an efficiency expert, because I'm lazy and I want to do more with less effort. So that is exactly it. So the other question that we asked earlier, and I want to kind of get your chime on it, is why is cash flow and scalability really vital to this process? And I know we kind of talked about it a little bit, but Rod, did you want to kind of chime in on cash flow? Because I know there are a lot of business owners out there right now that are like, but this here money though, I don't have the money to be bigger. So what would you say about that being so important to creating your market blueprint?
Yeah, and this kind of goes to what my whole philosophy is you need to, again, kind of figure out what it is you want to be when you grow up, and not just in terms of business owner, but in terms of a business. What do you want your business to look like? And especially for entrepreneurs who are trying to figure that out, and you're probably doing it because of passion. Peggy was talking about how she loved doing photography, and that's kind of what leads people into doing what they're doing, because they love providing that service, or they love that kind of product that they're making. And when you're talking about growth, you need to show that you not only have the viability to do it, but you need to be able to show that you have the capacity. And sometimes that means getting lending. And one of the things that you really want to do, not too far out from leaving the gate, is start talking to lenders. And there are a variety of types of lenders that are out there. I mean, obviously you can go to bankers, but they're, depending on what you are doing and what the level of risk is and where you're doing it and everything else, a traditional lender might not be there on hand to help you out. But there are other people, other companies that do lending, and obviously what they will lend at, meaning the interest rate, will differ based on all of those things. But you need to show that you have the capacity to grow. You need to be able to buy things, and then you need to have a plan to make sure that you're just not spending it. It's not necessarily about revenue, it's about profit. There are lots of companies that make lots of money, but because they aren't keeping an eye on what their costs are and everything else, you're like, yeah, we made $20,000 last month. That's awesome. The problem is we, cost ourselves 18 while we were doing it. So we only made a $2,000 profit. And it all goes into creating a plan. And part of that plan is getting your cash in hand. And, the big secret for me is finding someone who is doing it already, so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel, and you just ask them about that. Because what's the number one thing that people love to talk about the most? Themselves. That's why we're all here. Let's be honest, that's why we're all here.
Hey.
But we do it out of the goodness of our heart. And when you find someone who is doing kind of what you're doing, then you ask them the questions like, all right, how do I build capacity? How do I get cash? Who do I talk to? And how do I handle that cash versus handling credit? And how do I make sure that I'm watching my expenses?
Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying right now about the underfunding your business. I think that is the difference between a hustle and a business, right? So a hustle is you're out there, you're making money, you make enough for you to be able to pay the bills and to pay your bills. And that cycle keeps happening,
Yep,
right?
right on.
Versus when you are in an actual business, it's about like strategically spending to leverage that amount of money to get double or triple the amount of money. And so your point about not underfunding your business is one of the first things that when I hired a full-time CPA, he was like, make first the number one reason why businesses go under is because they are underfunded in the beginning. And I did not know that every time I started any other business. I did not know that because I'm a hustle extraordinaire. I can make money out of no money for sure. Right. But it was a matter of really understanding that you had to have capital behind you to kind of get you to the next level. Otherwise, you'll stay in a dead end job as an
You'll be
entrepreneur,
hustling the
right?
entire time and not
Hustling and
business.
hustling every day. I'm hustling. Don't do that. Don't hustle, right? Strategically plan your way to the next level of success. I love that. Andrea, did you want to chime in on that?
I do, and I'm going to tell a story of a young little entrepreneur. And you guys are going to love this story because I have a daughter who likes to make things. I mean, really likes to make things. Oh, you don't
Mhm.
have the little doll with you. And
No.
yeah, I know. And she is a really good friend. My best friend is a jeweler. I mean, beautiful custom jeweler. She's in Baltimore. Her name's Shayna Croys. Here's a shout out. If you need any jewelry, Rod, she's your gal. Like she has a gallery and everything. So she was the one that tapped me on the shoulder and told me that I had a very artistic child who was super talented because they had gone into her room and they started talking and so then she said to my daughter, "Hey Cleo, I want a doll." And Cleo's like, "Oh, that'll be $3." And I love this cash flow story. And Shayna goes, "Well, how much did your materials cost?" "I don't know. My parents bought them." No, no, mind you, she's 9. And then she's like, "Well, how much money do you want to make?" "Oh, I don't know." So fast forward after this conversation, so we basically did what you just said, Rod. I mean, you're talking the story. I'm like, oh, I wish Cleo could hear this. So then Cleo's like, "Oh, well, it'll be $25." She came right
Then,
back out. She
yep.
came back customized or $25. What I have in my on hand will be 20, but if you need me to customize, it'll be 25. So now she's got this serious little hustle going on where she's like, "Oh, custom bill, you need 25." The thing
Yep.
she hasn't figured out, to her, bless her heart, is shipping. So now her thing is like, "Oh, I shipped a doll and it was $15 because I had to use the post office box. Mommy, what am I going to do?" I'm like, "Up your prices." I said, "Just buy it." "Will people buy it?" I said, "Well, if you tell them to include shipping, of course they will." "Oh, okay." So now she's like, "I think I'll make the dolls $50." I'm like, "Yes," because she's like, "Because then I'll have a little extra." I'm like, right on you. So there you
Yeah.
go. There is a lot little hustle from artisan to artisan. I love the way you broke that down. I'm like, oh my God, that's exactly what happened with my little daughter.
Hmm.
And I just love the fact that Cleo had no concept of funding the business because she's like, "Mom and Dad will buy the materials." We're like, "Oh no, it's time for you to buy your materials." So that is so, so true. And so now she's like, "I better save up for the next things I need to buy." I'm like, absolutely. So
Oh yeah.
she's trying to get a home. So next thing I know, "Mom, I need a loan." I guarantee. But she's definitely living what you just said in a it's very transparent, really cute way, and it's
Hmm.
adorable. And
See a
actually,
lesson coming up on interest rates.
Oh, my daughter can teach the lesson on interest rates as
oh,
she
she
was a
does.
loan shark in elementary school.
I don't know.
And she would loan other students $1 because they wanted to buy slime, and then she would charge them $1.25. Then she would say, "You need to bring back $1.25 tomorrow." And so she was a loan
I'll
shark
meet you
in
behind the
elementary school.
school.
Hmm.
So now
Yeah,
the whole world knows that both of our children are like out here in these streets hustling.
out here in these
One's
streets
got,
hustling.
one's making the product. Oh, Monica. What
Yeah,
if,
so she might be able to be you know how Amazon has that credit thing. Little Monica might actually be like, "Well, I can extend you a credit. However, here's the interest." So Peggy, did you want to chime in on this crazy conversation about children?
I don't think I should. I think that I think you guys have it nailed. I think that that I don't want all the audience to think that we're raising all of our children to be good business people.
Oh,
But yeah.
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 But there's no shame in that. My Women's Day post after this is all about teaching my women, my young women, about take when they want something, going and creating it. Like,
Get it.
it is
Yeah,
an
make it
amazing
happen.
testament to that. And I'm so proud of, especially the one who's making the dolls. She's off the chain. I
Oh
learned
yeah.
from her. Like, I'm just like, maybe I'll do that next time.
Yeah.
She
That's one of the
She
beauty about kids is they don't know that they can't fail
exactly.
or can fail. Yeah, and so they're just going to go off and go do what they want to do, and they're open to learning. And that's a lesson that we adults need to take from them is, go ahead and try and listen to what people say and do the why not instead.
hmm Absolutely. I mean, if nothing else, we could take from those two powerful those 13-year-olds, right? Currently 13, but have been in business for a very long time, is um, to not be scared to forge ahead anyway, and learn and make the mistakes along the way and then learn from them, which is really quite fantastic. We could really kind of dive into this conversation so much more because one, we have these awesome kids, but I don't want to waste this precious opportunity to hang out with Rod and get and pick his brain. I was so happy when he actually decided to come on the show, to help us craft this conversation, because I knew this was right up his alley, and he could really kind of help us understand better about all of this. And so thank you so much, Rod, for just showing up in exactly the right day. And because of that, I want to kind of ask people. I want people to understand why you came into this space of becoming the founder of Downset Lead. And you and I have had a couple of conversations, and both of them, it didn't take much to see how deep of a well of knowledge that you had in all of this stuff, and why I kind of really honor and respect the information that you bring forward, because it always comes from the heart. And so it is absolutely my pleasure to introduce Rod for our entrepreneur's journey this week, which is one of my favorite segments. And the entrepreneur's journey is designed to help you stay inspired, because everyone sees successful people or people who are experts and they're like, oh, but they were always successful. And that is truly not the case. And so Rod is the founder of Downset Lead. He's also a motivational speaker, and a podcast host of Bosses and Brews. And so without further ado, Rod, can you please share your entrepreneur's journey?
Yeah, Monica, thank you very much for those very kind words. They really do mean a lot. So my story is basically one where I was stumbling out of the gates. We were just talking about that a minute ago. And I was in a position where I was growing up at home. I had two teachers for parents, and the only good advice that they could give me was don't become a teacher. And I could see every night, every year, my poor mom would sit there and she was grading papers, and she was a really, really talented person. But she also had a deep love of teaching English, and so that's what she did. And I knew that that wasn't for me. So I went to college, and not being a real strong numbers person, I was focusing on business, and not being a strong numbers person, that took finance and accounting out of the way. And that left two things. That left marketing and human resources. At the time, I was dating a young woman she was a couple of years older than me, and she was already in human resources. And I was like, sounds good to me. So I went into HR, and I really, for the next few years, just kind of, I progressed, but I didn't know that it was necessarily the field that I wanted to be in. I learned, I joke that I lost all of my hair because I spent so much time in human resources doing all of those different kind of investigations that poor HR people have to do. But about 5 or 6 years into it, I started realizing what I wanted, what I should be doing. And I went and got my master's degree in organizational development because I saw consultants coming in, and regardless of where I was working at the time, there were really sharp people that were coming to the company and just showing, guys, this is how you do it. And it made very clear sense to me. And I decided then that's what I wanted to be when I grew up. And as I began to do it, it dawned on me, just kind of what we were talking about a few minutes ago, of having that person show you in your life, was that I never really had a professional mentor in my life, whether it was formally through a company or through some organization, or informally, which is something that I really encourage everybody to do. I will often ask folks that I'm working with, I want you to name me your two mentors right now. You should always have two mentors, one who is your professional mentor and one who is your personal mentor. You know, what you want to be, how to be a better mommy or daddy, how to be a better spouse, or whatever it is that you want to be. You should always have and be able to identify those two people. And it changes based on what it is that you are aiming for, what skill you're learning to get down a little bit better. But I didn't have those as I was getting out. And by the time I was about 30, I was looking around and I realized I'm about 5 or 6 years behind my peers already. And it made a real impression on me. So fast forward several years later, and I was essentially running a consulting agency for a small college, and there was a opportunity for me to go out on my own, and that's what I did. I was able to take everything that I had learned and begin to design programs that that individuals would come to. I organically created a coaching program from all of that, and I am now doing that as my career, and I love it. And so kind of just going back to what we were talking about earlier, it was identifying what I wanted to do, finding people who did it and learning from them and doing it in an informal way. And again, people love to talk about what they do. And so if you ask them, hey, Monica, I really enjoyed hearing you the other day. Could we have a cup of coffee and just kind of dig a little bit deeper? I can hear about your story. 90 times out of 100, Monica or Peggy or Andrea or whoever is going to say, absolutely, let's get together and do it. And you listen to their story, and then you begin to project out what it is that you want to do. And that's what I did. And I've never looked back. But you have to stay faithful to what it is that you believe in. One of the things that I do in terms of a give back, I have a program called Downset Start. And what I like to do is work with young professionals. I define that as kind of like 30-ish and under, and help them get traction in their career. And it's a short program, but I think it's really impactful for them. So that is essentially what my philosophy is. It is to learn as you're going, constantly learn. You always have to learn. There's always someone out there that can teach you something, and build your own product from that. Be true to yourself. There are lots of things that are out there that I know that I'm not. I'm not the three-piece suit kind of guy that's going to get out there and pontificate, this is the way you do things. What I'm going to do is want to learn who you are, what it is that is making you feel like you're not getting traction in your life, and either talk to a group about it or help individuals or in a group setting, whatever it is. And regardless of what your passion is, you can kind of basically follow the same path and make sure that and do things to make sure that you're growing in a business sense, just as kind of what we were talking about with your blueprint. And that's something that you really, really have to have. So that's basically how I got to where I am.
That I love your story. Love your story. And
Thanks.
I think so many people can relate to it. I know I can, right? It took me kind of figuring out, took me a lot of years,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of years to figure out what it is that I wanted to do. before I could actually step into the role that I am in my own life now. So I 100% resonate with that part of like looking around and being like, oh yeah, this ain't it, and it's
Yeah.
got to be something different. And yeah, ask anybody who's any kind of successful that you want to have. They can tell you the mentors or the guides who walked them right up to the point of success,
Yeah.
or even got them turned their head turned in the right direction to get them there. So
Mhm.
I love that encouragement of like have a mentor and have someone in your life like Rod Bourn, of course. So Peggy and Andrea, what did you guys think of his journey?
I'm glad it wasn't perfect. I'm sorry. I
Nothing is. Nothing is.
I love you're like, oh my God, my girlfriend was doing it. I love that part. I was like, oh, see, Rod, I know why. He's in Maryland too, so I have an affinity for the fact that he's there, right? So that, I just love that you're like, and then that happened, and I made this choice based on this, and like Monica said, I now totally see when she spoke to you how your transparency about evolution and being flexible is, immediately attractive to the MinkLife community. So
Oh
now
yeah.
I'm a Stark Raven fan. I even haven't talked to you more offline, but I'm like, oh, he's got a great story. You should hear him. And but isn't that how life is? Like people with
Hmm.
great stories, you want to connect to people that had that struggle before, like really
Hmm.
making a tribe of people that you can call upon to help another in your tribe is, I don't know, it's my whole reason of being here. I
Hmm.
mean, of being on the planet, being in Mink Life, doing what I do. And so I love this story and it really resonated with me. And now I wouldn't be afraid to call you and be like, hey, I got a little question about my cash flow here. So I'm like, oh, I'm like, oh, I know I want a coaching session just to, talk about how to scale because it's on my
He's
mind.
the he's the homie Rod. That's why
I
I
know,
keep
I was like,
referring to
oh,
him as,
the
and
Holy
they're like,
Rock.
why do you keep
It's going to
calling
be my
him
new
that?
moniker. I'll put it up there in my name just so it doesn't say
The
Rod Bourne. It'll
homie
be Homie
Rod.
Rod Bourne.
But that's I think that's what I was immediately drawn to you about, because initially when you look at your picture or you come into the room, you're very professional to start, and then there's like this warming up of you that happens, and then I'm like, oh, this the homie Rod. Like he's not some like stuffy business person, but I love that you called that out. Like you don't have to be the suited and booted dude who's like, yeah, you're the business person, this, that, or the other. He's like, I love football. I love to kick it. I'm,
Yeah,
go
yeah,
Ravens, right? And
yeah.
so,
Bruise right there.
and so, but you bring that forward, and I think that's an important lesson for other entrepreneurs to hear, that like you uniquely are positioned to help people from your unique space in the world, and if you're bringing that authenticity, it's amazing.
Absolutely.
Peggy, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Rod.
No,
No, no,
that's good.
no, I was just going to say that, if you aren't having fun, and that's one of the questions that I ask everybody is, are you having fun? Are you enjoying what your journey has been? Because if you're not, we need to figure out why, and we need to get you off the carousel and onto the Ferris wheel, or,
Hmm.
whatever it is. If you're not having fun, there's a reason why. And maybe you're just in the wrong place. Maybe you're with the wrong person, whatever it is,
Hmm.
but you have to be authentic and hopefully have a sense of humor about it too.
Hmm. Peggy.
And I think it's good to remind people that there's ups and downs. It's not perfect. It's a journey. It's life. It's what happens. And I think we live in a society today where everybody photoshops their images and posts them on social media, and somehow, even though you may do the same thing, you think when you're looking at someone else's life that it's perfect and that they've never had any ups and downs, and that's just not true. And I'm personally never ashamed of my quote unquote failures, or my bumps along the road, because I feel like all of those things led me to the person that I am today. And I'm pretty cool with the person that I am today. I
I'm
mean,
cool with her
I'm
too.
still rough around the edges. I still got a lot of growing to do, but all in all, I'm not a bad person. And all of the things that happened to me, all the ups and downs, all the highs and lows, all the struggles, all the failures, taught me to become who I am. And so I think that's something that's really good to remember, because it's too easy to find, people that want to, go up there and, give a motivational speech and, get you all pumped up. But reality is that when you get home, you still have to face your journey and you still have to face life. And do you have those tools? And I think that's the important takeaway from his story is, it's okay. Just be cool.
Oh
Just have
yeah.
fun.
Oh yeah.
Be cool, man.
Cool.
Yeah, be cool, man. Be cool and hang out with the homie Rod. That's what you're supposed to do.
Rod's like, oh my goodness, where did I come to
Yeah,
this?
I told you this was going to be just like a chat. I know technically we're on live on Facebook with other people watching, but we just come in this space and we have a good time. And if the people who are watching are having a good time along with us, then kudos. If you are having a good time along with us, go ahead and put it in the comments. So when we're off this sucker, we can read them and chime in on it. Because, we're in this space together. And so we try to stay here in this conversation. But I do want us to keep connecting and keep asking for help. And we do have Rod here to help us keep networking and learning more from each other. And so the quote that I am bringing forth today is money follows excellence. And that is straight out of our Business Maximizer, the Market Blueprint section. And the reason why this is one of my favorite quotes is because a lot of the times people want to market themselves and they're like all about the marketing. Well, I just got to make sure my marketing is great. And they sometimes don't realize that it is important to, one, make sure that you can make a profit off what you're doing, that it can be scaled, and that people actually value it. Because if no one wants it, then what's the point, right? And so the question that I have is, how does your market blueprint affect your business's value in the marketplace? So I know that's a loaded question, so I'm just going to go ahead and unleash this group on that topic. Rod, I've been picking on you all day because you are our resident expert on this particular topic, and so I would love to give you some space to kind of chime in on this first, and then we will bring up the rear. So
Yeah, sure. There's a lot in that question. So again, it all comes back to authenticity, and it basically comes down to, what is your vision and how are you building your brand off of that vision? Does your brand reflect your vision? And then from that, you're going to create what we're talking about as a blueprint, right? And so you want to figure out, okay, and a blueprint is a design. If you go to an architect and you say, I want a house built, and kind of give him a concept, he'll create a blueprint and then bring it back to you. And you may say, oh no, I want this over here. The engineer says that's physically impossible to do, or whatever. But you want a schematic of what it is you're making. And once you have it to where the architect says, yes, that will work, and the engineer says, yes, that will stand up, and you say, yes, that fulfills my vision, then what you do is you create the strategy. And in doing all of that, you will create your space. And that I think is one of the scariest things for entrepreneurs, is that, well, geez, there are already lots of coaches out there doing that, hundreds of coaches. There are thousands and thousands, there are tens of thousands of coaches out there doing it. So you might as well give up. No, you don't give up. What you do is if you are true to yourself, it will come out. Just as these kind ladies have said that it's coming out that Homie Rod is an okay guy. It will come out in what you are doing, how you are doing it, and you will create your niche. And then when you find folks like this, that, like, all right, Monica's in my tribe. If I want to pick up, I pick up the phone and call Andrea. If I need a smile, I'm going to visit Peggy on Facebook for a few minutes. And you hang with the people that make you, that re-emphasize the fact that you're okay and that what you're doing is a good thing. And if you've had a bad day or a bad week, don't worry about it. And by following this, you creating your blueprint and your strategy that goes from that, that's what will give you your market space. Okay, people will begin to notice, oh my gosh, what is this MinkLife that keeps popping up? Maybe I need to check it out a little bit. Does anybody know about it? And then you're like, wow, you should see the women that are on here, especially on International Women's Day or whatever. And that's how you do it. That's how you do it. Is it easy? No, Is it going to happen fast? Probably not, unless you have just like, found the gold pearl or whatever. But pearls aren't even gold, are they? But but wow, wouldn't it be nice to have
But if
one?
you could find one.
Yeah, if you could find one, and that really is it, though, Monica, isn't it? Is if you have, that, who invented Post-its, right? What a great idea, and everyone's like, simple idea. Why didn't I come up with that? Well, there are lots of other Post-it ideas out there waiting to be found. So if you happen to find it, then you suddenly create an even larger space for yourself. But it's because you are passionate about what you're doing is what will make you tenacious.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Peggy, did you want to kind of chime in on what Rod was saying? No.
I got nothing.
Yes. That's my
He's gonna drop the
contribution.
mic and walk
Yes.
away now. Well,
I'm a big believer in authenticity. I believe that from the headshot to your story, to your website, to your videos, to the end product, it should all be really, you should represent your brand. You should represent yourself authentically.
Easy for you to say.
Now I can't say it.
Be real.
Just be real.
Yeah, just be real. But yeah, everything he said, I know that I'm going to get a little note from Monica after the show saying, Peggy, your co-host, you can't say what they said, but what are you supposed to say after that? What do you say?
Well, he did do a good job
I'm
of
glad
framing
he
up.
went first.
I punted it to first, so you're up for the home run, Andrea, because that's all I can do today.
Well, he said it like I would imagine one day I could say it. Like, I mean, right now, for me, as I said, the entrepreneur that's like, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I sort of like, I'm going to be an engineer. I'm going to be an opera singer. I kind of just make declarations and then I go do them, right? So this one has been the hardest one. Because of it's always evolving, right? And I so appreciate it when you said showing up authentically, however it is, and doing the thing that you love. And I was reminded of that Maya Angelou quote where she talks about, people forget what you said, but they'll totally remember how you made them feel.
Yeah.
And so from that's been my creed for my business. Well, truly, I'm kind of like, I provide service. I help people feel better.
Mhm.
My whole goal is that you can be whole, right? Like, you can be whole. If you choose to believe you can, we will make a plan to make sure you get there.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not been pretty yet, and I don't know if it's fancy. And I was like, ooh, I could get a schematic and a design. The engineer brain in me was like, ooh, that sounds really good. I need one of those. Oh, I want to sound like that. Then I was like, I don't have to sound like that, because then you said exactly what I was thinking. I've got these people who will help fill in the places where I can't, and they'll amplify the, Andrea's going to make you feel good message.
Yeah. And Andrea, if I can jump in just real quick, there are so many pools out there that you could drop your money into.
Oh my God. Been there.
And you really need to be very, very, very cautious as an entrepreneur as to where you're putting your money, because it is a limited resource. And just like you said, wow, that really fancy schematic is going to look awesome on my, polished up web page or whatever. Do you really, really need that versus, what you could do to continue showing your authenticity someplace?
A landing page and make a phone call, right? Like,
Right.
you just like went zing, like Andrew's buzzing with all these things in her mind, like she's got to do this, got to do it. I was like, oh, okay, I kind of need just a few more things, and I'll just keep doing this. And
yeah.
So no, this was a great call for today. I don't know,
right?
Universe, I so needed this call.
Well, the beautiful one of the things that Rod had when he started out about the blueprint part, right? And essentially that is kind of our main focus in MinkLife Motivation, right? Is helping people kind of identify these blueprints of how you're going to get there, right? So it's one thing to show up authentic. It's another thing to then have how am I going to take my real self, Peggy, got you, my real self, and show up in the world in a real way. So everybody knows I'm the homie Rod, and I'm the one you come to when you're ready to down said lead the way uh, to to where you're trying to go. And having a plan is the part that we all kind of struggle with sometimes, because it's entrepreneurs are typically the people who are the shoot first and ask questions second, right? Typically, that's who we are. But the minute you actually kind of say, okay, I want to intentionally make a difference in the world in this way, right? And lay out that blueprint, and then have the mentors or the, you know, the coaches or the people help you craft that plan. That's when you go from that, like, I'm authentic and I'm telling everybody that I'm doing something, to the I'm that authentic and did you see all the things that I got done, and how all the people that I helped, look at the crowd of people who are following me because I helped them in that authentic way. So like I said, I'm a huge fan of the homie Rod because he does put it in such an easy, breezy way to grasp it and understand it. And one of the reasons why I was like, Rod, no, I feel like you and I are partners in this fight to help people really kind of change their lives and grow their businesses. And I know we had a couple conversations like, are you sure? I don't know if I don't know if we're
We're
and I'm
sure.
like, no.
I'll
I
confirm.
am positive that you are exactly who I need to have a part of my tribe to help craft this, because in our program we talk about business. They go through business school in the 6 modules of the Business Maximizer. It is literally business school in 2-hour stints, you know, 12 hours total, right? And it's not enough. I know it's not enough. It wasn't built to be all of the things. It was enough to get them kind of a firm foundation so they can go to you, the engineers, like, okay, now that I have this idea of what I really want, how can I actually achieve that? And so I'm just happy that I got to share you to the world today. I don't know if anybody else got to share you in this way, but you saw it here on MinkLife Motivation Live, baby. The homie Rod is in the house. So
You,
with that,
no, I want to add one thing to that, Monica, really quick. We have a little bit of time.
yeah.
It is so true. I was just thinking of the Business Maximizer, and we're starting that next week with our licensing students. And I exactly know what you mean. Like, they are so gonna get those like plinths to put in the ground. And then it's like really finding those people to help lay the floor, put up the walls, put up the roof, for sure. And that analogy so works in terms of what you
Oh
just
yeah.
said. And I'm like, oh, I don't know if we need a master class. I don't know. Anyway.
No, well, you know, that's the next phase. It's like now we bring in the experts
Yeah.
who do specific things to kind of help people take them to the next level. And that's why that was a part of my original blueprint. One of my original blueprint moments was, I want to change the world, but I also want to connect them to people who can take them all the way. And I want them to be protected in my space. I want them to have authentic, amazing people who know what they're talking about to help them. And I want to be able to connect them to that. And so uh, just by knowing you, I get to step closer into my own blueprint, right? And being able to kind of offer that. And the same thing happens literally with the Life Calibrator and Andrea. And the same thing literally happens with Peggy and our influence booster, right? Like having people who know how to, in a heart-centered, authentic way, really be able to connect them to that piece. Once we figure out what their heart's desire is or their just statement, then that's it. That is exactly how I want to take over the world. Mwahaha. I'd start the next right, the
That's good.
next pandemic. I know.
Oh, I've been
I'm gonna have to
practicing.
like record
I can
that.
tell you've been practicing.
I'm like, whoa, we need that.
But you know, like we do want to go viral, and the only way we can do that is really kind of supporting each other, which is why we have the Facebook group, which is why we do all of these things. It's because I'm laying the foundation for a larger, huge goal of having just a worldwide net of amazing business owners thriving and living healthy, wealthy, and fulfilled. So I'm excited. It sounds like the girls are excited too to have you as a part of our network, because it really is so real. So one of the things that we do is we want people to gain some knowledge. And so how do you maximize the profitability of your market blueprint? And I know another loaded question, because you know I believe in these loaded questions, but it gives us lots to talk about. So profitability, how do we make our our market blueprint makes sure that we are actually looking at that profit part. And what's funny, and I just want to frame this, when we do the business maximizer and we do the market blueprint class, it's our money class, and they never see it coming. They never see it coming. And it usually is like, oh wait, you mean I have to charge and I have to ask people, and I got to figure out how my break even. But so this is an area that business people talk about all the time and don't actually understand fully. So I really want you to give us a little bit of an understanding about that profitability piece.
Yeah, the way that I look at profitability is, what is your lowest hanging fruit? What is your best business opportunity? And it's not uncommon at all for entrepreneurs to have multiple irons in the fire. And there are reasons for that. It might be that they think that they like doing all those things, and they may. They may think that this way I'm covering all of my bases, but you're not really, because you're not doing anything well. I believe that you can't multitask well. You can try to multitask, but you're not going to multitask well. And so in terms of profitability, you look at it two different ways, and both kind of share the same weight. The one is, what are you passionate about doing? And when you put that strategy out and you're looking at it and you monetize this, what are you getting in, and at what cost? And it really boils down to those things. The other thing is, you know, you look at, these are the things that I am offering, and take passion completely out of it. For some reason you have it there. It might be because it is a secondary idea. It's something that a friend of you told, that you came up with, and it might be, even though I don't like doing it this as much as this other thing, it's far more profitable. And so you have, you talk about your loss leaders, the things that you do that get attention so that people come in your door, and then you show them the other things that you have, and these are your money makers, your cash cows, or whatever else. And you're right, Monica, this is really a difficult thing to do, because you're getting away from the crazy fun stuff, and you have to apply, and this is, in all honesty, the hardest thing for anybody, but entrepreneurs especially, to do, is to focus on the minutia, the finance, and being able to break that down. And the great thing is, there are people out there who are really good at doing that, especially for free, for entrepreneurs, people that are small business people. You can go to the SBA, SBDC, your local community college. You can get it for free or next to free, and you get an understanding of how to figure out, what is my most profitable path. And this sometimes creates an issue, because it might be that your biggest way to profit might be something other than what you really want to do. But if you really want to do A, if you have to do B, or if it makes sense for you to do B so that you can do A, then you figure out how to make that happen. Does that mean that I hire somebody? Does it mean that I bring in 1099s? What does it mean so that I can do A, which I really want to do, but it's only getting me a 20% profit, versus doing B, which will get me a 50% profit or 100% profit, or whatever it is. And how do I do that? And this is where it really, really boils down to, is how you make money in secondary methods. Okay. Are you doing, like Monica, you said, you make these incredible dresses, but how do you monetize that so that you aren't working 18 hours a day? Well, you create patterns, and then you have professionals cut these patterns, and you make them to a certain point that, okay, now I can talk to my client, and I've got this beautiful dress set up, but we are going to tailor it specifically to what you want to do. That's when you bring in the Monica touch. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are going to become rich, that's what you need to figure out how to do, is how am I going to, while I'm doing what I want and need to do, and there's a really good book out there called Predictable Success. I'd really recommend that the viewers pick that book up, because it kind of talks about the cycles of business that you're going to go through. But the big thing that gets you to where you need to be and stay is figuring out, how do I create profitability and not lose myself by going off tangents that I shouldn't be going down.
Absolutely. I the that's usually the hardest part, right? It's because like, well, I don't want
Absolutely.
to do that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's not
That's
fun.
no
I don't
fun.
want to do that. Right. Or you mean you want me to look at my books? Like,
Hmm.
why would I do that? I'm an artist.
Right.
I don't do numbers, right? And so there a lot of the people who go through the business maximizer, or they're like, I just want to help people. I don't want to have to figure out how much it costs and how much I should charge them. Someone just tell me what that is. But being a steward of understanding what that is in your own business allows you to properly price yourself, so you
Hmm.
are always getting paid for your genius
Hmm.
and not getting paid to do stuff you don't want to do. Meaning that if you are absolutely amazing at taking pictures, but you are horrible at, you know,
Selling
pushing
them.
emails, right? Maybe you need to charge a little more so that you can hire someone else to do the
Right.
emails, right? Or in my case, it was really kind of like, how can I afford to have a contractor do the sewing part so that I can do the client consultation part and the sourcing of the materials and the things that like light me up on the inside. I'm like, oh, I get to go shopping today, or oh, I get to, draw pretty pictures, the parts that were actually really fun for me. I had to then kind of scale my pricing to be more, right? So that I could afford to pay that person really well, and also my own time. And the other part that I love that you said is, or that kind of triggered in me, is a lot of the times what happens is if we undercharge, even if it's something that we love to do, you start counting, I'm not getting enough, I'm not getting paid for this shit. And excuse my French, but that is, like the
True.
resentment comes in, and you're like, especially if you get someone difficult, even if it's a job that you love doing, you get
Hmm.
a difficult client and they will absolutely tell you whether or not your prices are high enough,
Yep.
right? Great
Yep.
clients are easy. You're like, oh, I was fun anyway and I got paid for it. Awesome. That's the hobby side, right? But then get a difficult one who does everything the opposite of what you
Right.
want to
Right. And you
do.
start thinking,
You
if I
have
broke this down on an hourly, I'd be
it's
under minimum
minimum
wage.
wage. Right.
Monica, people will pay for the experience if they like you. They,
Yes.
they will pay for the experience, whether you are giving them a service, a product, whatever it is. If they feel you are giving them value, and value can be defined in any way. Value can be time in which you are talking with them while you are producing while the photos are coming off the printer, while you are spending time with their dress, while you were just counseling them. Okay, there is value that they get, that they perceive beyond whatever the end product or end service is. And if they perceive that experience is really, charge for it. Don't
Hmm.
be afraid that, oh, I'm not worth it, or that's too much, or whatever it is. Uh, you know,
Yeah.
be honest to yourself, and be honest to your business, so that your business is successful.
Yeah. I
Absolutely.
think,
And I know,
oh,
oh,
go
I'm
ahead,
sorry.
Peggy. Go ahead.
Um, I know that I've seen, that's exactly it. You are first off selling yourself. You are selling yourself, and what unique opportunity, what unique experience are you providing for this experience? And the other thing is, you have to think about, like for me, I have expensive gear. I have lots of cameras and lenses and lights and computers and all these things that I have to have to be able to do this. So when I'm figuring out my prices, I have to think about all my costs. And even though, it may be upfront cost getting the equipment, for other people, they would have to rent this equipment or do this. So you have to really see, okay, you have to get your value out of everything, the experience, and I think for me, that's the number one thing, that not only do I want to give my clients amazing headshots, but I want them to walk away with knowledge. How can I use these headshots? Why is it important that I have this amazing headshot? Why in the heck did she make me do all these things? And how is this going to benefit my business? And all of those are part of the experience, where other times you just go to a photographer, they say, cheese, here's your pretty picture. But I want to give them a different experience where I'm actually giving them something that's going to boost their marketing, boost their business. And that's when you're selling that, then you need to price accordingly to that. So I heard you. I heard you. I heard you.
Yeah, Andrea.
Yep. Yeah, I heard a lot. Mhm. No, I
Yeah.
really did. And it a lot, everything Peggy just said really resonated in terms of a lot of what I was going to say. And really, the question was, how do you increase that profitability with your And I was like, oh, it's value. It's always value. I mean, you kind of said that too. It's like the value of, I know my services are good, and then, like you said, not suffer from imposter syndrome and actually charge for them, right? Like,
Mhm.
really go, I'm gonna give you the kingdom to the whatever, keys to the kingdom, whatever they saying is, because at the end, I'm wanting you to be able to, well, my thing is so people are independent of me when they go to the supermarket. Though I do get texts, Andrew, can I eat this? What about this? Da, da,
Mhm.
da, da.
All the
Because
time.
Stop telling people that.
Yeah.
Don't tell that I do that to you.
Oh, no, I thought she was talking to
Andrea, can
me
I eat
because we do
this?
that too.
Can I do that?
so that they feel that comfortable with that, or snapping a picture, or that's the accessibility and things like that, that actually in a moment of full transparency is, how will I grow that? Because I want my clients to feel comfortable to ask a question, because maybe they were in their situation because they didn't ask the questions to begin with. So that's kind of that unlearning. So I'm like sitting here going, I still need to do X, Y, and Z. So to your point, because I do enjoy that, I have just recently thought about a new product that I need to do that is like a primer for my student to get to that point. So I was like, God, he is really talking to me today. So trust it was an evolution where I really said to myself, I need to expand myself so I can do the, like you said, so I can have these very couture health appointments, or whatever they're going to be called, and and still make a big effect in that agency of people in their health. And I'm in the process for my anniversary. I'm gonna have my year anniversary, because I birthed this idea in COVID. So now I'm gonna have a little anniversary party in May, and I'm gonna redo it all because I had success. Now I have an idea for the next level of success. So to
Cool.
Monica's point, we're really just, it's a petri dish, and we're in here just like having science
Just
experiments.
making it happen. All the time.
And we're having
Just
fun, and we're bringing people along who are like, because we believe you can do it, we believe you can mess up, and we can believe you can make it better.
Oh yeah.
So
mhm.
really, that's the bottom line. Because we're like, we did that. So there you have it.
So,
So thank you.
so if you have any questions about your personal life, your business, your branding, or your networking, we would love to answer your questions here on the show. So feel free to go to MinkLife Motivation live, minklifemotivation.com/live, and drop your questions so that we can keep answering them. And I want you to know that this particular conversation, because we are definitely going to be over time. Again, we're hanging out with the homie Rod. That's why.
It's
So
Russell.
this particular conversation is coming from the Business Maximizer of MinkLife Motivation Principles, where we talk about the 6 key factors of your business that contribute to your business success. That is leadership, business processes, customer service, human resources, products and services, and market blueprint. We help you create habits that support your personal business growth. We also build stronger, authentic, mutually beneficial relationships, both in life and in business. We create a strategy that supports your life and business optimization. We create a balanced and organized time management system, and we align your actions to your vision to maximize those resources. So this is what you would get if you came into the Mink Life universe and hung out with me and Andrea and Peggy and the homie Rod. We would be able to help you do all of these things. And you can try it for free right now. So go to MinkLife Motivation /complimentary, or just go to MinkLife Motivation and you'll see my smiling face. Welcome. And then pointing over to the button, click the button to get your free courses. There are happening all the time every week. So feel free to go ahead and step in that space. And then also, it is time for announcements. So we give an opportunity for everyone to know how you can hang out with us in the MinkLife universe. And Rod, tell us, how can people get in touch with you and how can they hang out with you in your world? What's going on?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am, my big announcement is that I am releasing a book called Downset Lead, and that is coming out on September 9th, which it's a leadership book that has a football motif. And so it's coming out on the opening day of the NFL season. So please look for that. I plan on having a book release party that afternoon. So if you're interested, I would love to have you come in. On that day, I will have the book priced at a very special price for my friends, and that can be any of you. So I hope that you're able to do that. In the meantime, feel free to visit my website, which is downsetlead.com. I love to connect with people on LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is an incredibly powerful tool, so look me up and make sure that you spell my name right. I'm even going to make sure that I have the new moniker there, the homie Bourn. I think I may need to.
The homie Rod Bourn.
Y'all kill me.
When I go to LinkedIn and I type in the homie, you're gonna probably pop up on the first search, right?
You have to trademark that one, Peggy.
There you go. All right, Peggy, tell us what's going on in your world.
Well, you can find me at headshotsbypeggy.com. I just have a brand new redesigned website, so I would love for everybody to go check it out and tell me what you like about my website and what you don't like, because we're still in the tweaking stages. So I would love to hear comments about that. Also, you can find everything out about me if you go to linkapp.com. That's linq.com/Peggy. And that's got everything you ever wanted to know about Peggy in there, and probably so much more.
I haven't been there yet. Okay.
I haven't either. I'm gonna go.
We're like, okay.
Andrea, what's going on?
It's got all my
world?
social media links. It's got all my like interview links. It's got, everything. So.
Awesome.
Oh, lovely.
Well, I feel like Link App should pay me. Just throwing that out there because I love it and I tell everybody about it. So
endorsement.
Yeah,
endorsement. So I have my right before the anniversary, the last detox that's going to be called the detox, happening starting March 18th. And I'm sure the lovely Alana has put the link to the webinars that I have about it to show you my unique way to do a detox and why I call it a detox and rejuvenation cleanse. So that one is going to launch March 18th. So come on down if you really want to rework yourself in a 360 way. I encourage you to come check us out in the webinar, and then we'll get you started. So that's what I got.
Oh yeah, perfect. And as you know, we always have lots of announcements happening in the MinkLife universe, as we are always busy creating for you. So it is Mingo Monday, and we are actually launching a speed business networking on Clubhouse today at 3 p.m. It is our beta, guys. So come and break it for us. Let's figure out how we can jack it up and make it horrible, and then so we can make it better together. So join me on Clubhouse at 3 p.m. Or 6 p.m. Eastern time. And we are going to do 45-second commercials and see if we can actually get each other to follow each other really quickly and resonate with people in a short way. So work on your 45-second commercials so we can get it popping in just a couple of hours. We also have Embody Change to Thrive, which is our next global virtual conference. And this conference is really designed for you to really learn how to embody change. We're doing it in Los Angeles and in Sydney. Tickets are already on sale, guys. We are ahead of schedule, and we are able to actually, you can lock in your pass right now. We are getting the speakers all lined up. We will have another set of dynamic speakers for you. But if you are interested in being a dynamic speaker, we do need your voice to help the world embody change to thrive in this new normal. Because again, we're going into yet another new normal of post quarantine. So let's figure that out together. Also, this week, we are in the PM version of the Power Partner Mastermind Mixer. So if you want to learn if you want to meet MinkLife Motivators like these guys, or if you want to share a 1-minute commercial about your business and help us kind of understand what you do, and then also learn the ways that you can grow with MinkLife Motivation, whether you are a contributor to the new pandemic we are brewing to spread healthy, wealthy, and fulfilled virus and incubate it and put it all over the world, then we would love to see you at the Power Partner Mastermind Mixer. I am rushing through this because it is time for us to go, but I want to thank Alana, who is the most amazing producer and has been producing these shows for forever for us, and my co-host and guest, headshots by Peggy, because she always makes me look good. And I really, really, really want you to understand that you have the power to activate the vision within. With that, I want you to remember, activating that vision means to share, because sharing is caring. And if you love people, you want them to have the information that they need. So let them know that the homie Rod was here and they need to hear the conversation with him and us, and hit that share button. So with that, I would love to thank my guest again and the audience who's hanging out with us all 6 months of this past year through the pandemic, and say thank you so much. And we will see you next Monday. Have a good day. Bye.
Great week.